If you've got country roads, you've got issues.
How it'll show up is washboarding, potholes, ruts. They'll have to maintain them or grade them 2 to 3 days a week. Constant maintenance on a lot of those roads. It can actually be dangerous.
The answer is underneath, and the problem is clay.
Clay is the tiniest of all the particles. It has a presence in most of the roads throughout the world, really. The bad side of it, the ion charge. And what that does is it makes the clay hydrophilic, so it's attracting and holding onto water.
And we've got a way to fix those permanently. Today, what I want to talk about is the root problem with most rural roads, gravel roads, not just in Alberta and Saskatchewan, Western Canada, but North America and probably Mexico, Central South America, and why the problem exists and what we can do about it. The problem is clay. And I think most companies, municipalities, and counties spend a lot of their time maintaining these roads, trying to keep them as smooth as possible, get rid of the softness, the ruts, the potholes, things like that. I don't know if maintenance is the answer. I think the answer is underneath, and the problem is clay. So I think today what we should talk about and get to the bottom of is the issue with clay in the roads. So first question I want to ask you, Phil, is the clay particle itself. What's it look like? The breakdown of the clay in the soil. Just talk a little bit about clay itself.
Yeah, so clay itself, it has a presence in most of the roads around in our area and throughout North America, throughout the world really. Clay is the tiniest of all the particles, so it's barely visible to see it because it's so tiny in the road. But it's also structured very different than other particles such as, like sand or silt, or it's tiny, but it's also structured differently. It's not just a solid particle. It's structured more like a book, like it has layers to it, almost like this, like pages. That's how clay particles look. The structure of them is different, but also the ion charge, that's another problem that they have.
Can you explain the ion charge? I guess it'd be an electrochemical charge. We've also talked about hydrophilic versus hydrophobic. I think they all kind of fall into that same category. What are those?
Yeah, clay, it's a bit unique that it has an ion charge or an electrochemical charge to it. And what that does, that charge, is it makes the clay hydrophilic, so it's attracting and holding onto water.
Which
that
is
ion charge.
It's a good thing in a way because it's binding, correct?
Absolutely.
That's a positive. You kind of need that in your soil.
Yeah, clay, that's a positive thing about it, is it has that binding effect that it holds your road together. And just even when you pick up a ball of clay, or you can make a ball out of it, and it has that binding effect. So that's good. The bad side of it is it does hold on to water. So even when it appears dry, there's always a layer of, we call it adsorbed water. That's the proper term for it, or trapped water, bound water. It's wrapped around the clay particle. And it's also in between the layers of the clay particles. So sometimes it's like a hard water film, almost like a crystallized form, but as soon as any moisture gets on it, that trapped water is there. So it's holding it and attracting it. That's what's hydrophilic.
Okay. So you can't just dry clay out. Or keep it dried out, I guess, is a bigger issue.
Yeah, you can, and that's where, like, to have good clay, you can build nice solid roads. But when there's moisture, it just holds that moisture. So you'll see this on lots of roads, the soft shoulders. Shoulders will get soft, or even potholes and ruts. And I guess if you think about it, clay, you can kind of shape it and form it or deform it. And so there's always washboarding or corrugation and ruts and potholes, in large part because of the clay. It can cause problems in your road.
Right.
And when it's dry, it's good, but it can also be dusty when it's dry.
Yeah.
And when it's wet, it can really move around and misshape and cause problems.
And you get the sloppiness on the roads and things like that.
Yeah.
So what are some ways you can dry that out? Heat, obviously, but how do you go and heat up miles and miles of road to get that moisture out of there?
Yeah, you'd have to bake it like ceramic, hundreds of degrees. Like, you can get rid of that water that way. Yeah. Like our coffee cups here, you can bake them and get rid of it. You can do it chemically as well, like cement will get rid of that trapped water, cement powder, or lime can get rid of that adsorbed water. Probably more temporary, but it'll get rid of that trapped water as well. But Con-Aid will also get rid of that.
So we have a better way.
We have a better way of dealing with it. And the way when we deal with it with Con-Aid, the Con-Aid takes and reverses that ion charge.
Okay.
So it'll go into those clay particles. Like we were saying, it has all the layers, like the book,
Right.
the pages. So Con-Aid will go into those clay particles and bind onto it and around the clay particles and reverse that ion charge. And it's a permanent change, so it permanently reverses that ion charge. So instead of being hydrophilic, it becomes hydrophobic. And so it's pushing the water out.
And it's permanent. So
Yeah.
you treat your road once with Con-Aid and you're good to go.
Yeah, that change is permanent. So it's still soil. You can still work it and work with that soil, but the hydrophobic state of it, that remains permanent. So you don't have to retreat that same road again.
I guess what we're trying to say then is the chances are pretty good if you've got country roads, you've got issues. Not maybe in all your areas, but in a lot of your areas. And we've got a way to fix those permanently and get rid of a lot of your ruts, your potholes, your washboarding, things like that. So if somebody's got a road that they've got issues with, you get your freeze thaw. Every spring that road is a mess. They want to maintain that road. What's the normal way a county or a municipality would look after that road without knowing about Con-Aid?
So typically, and we hear this quite a bit from different customers and clients and counties, especially when there's a presence of clay, that problematic roads, how it'll show up is in washboarding or corrugation, especially off intersections, just that washboarding, potholes, ruts. So quite often roads that are giving them problems, they'll have to maintain them or grade them, put the grader on it 2 to 3 days a week. Throughout the whole spring, summer, fall seasons, there'll be constant maintenance on a lot of those roads, especially the high traffic, heavier roads. We hear that quite often, that they'll be on that road every week, sometimes multiple days a week.
How do they get it to dry out? Gravel? They just add gravel?
A lot of times they add gravel and they'll just have to cut and keep cutting it, and because the road is constantly misshaping, like with rutting and potholes and washboard, which it can actually be dangerous on the roads. So they'll have to just keep maintaining it steady, adding gravel and maintaining and reshaping and grading that road.
And we know a couple things. Gravel's not cheap, and gravel sometimes it isn't that easy to get.
Absolutely, and it's a limited, finite resource. And even here around Edmonton, where we are, we're having to go further and further away, up to a couple hours away to get gravel.
Right.
The cost of transporting it is getting more, and you can be getting short of gravel in certain areas.
Right. So let's turn the table. They take that problem road and they treat it with Con-Aid. Explain now the maintenance and the money saving, just the time saving, the difference, I guess, in having a road treated with Con-Aid.
Yeah, so as we were talking about, the Con-Aid will go into those clay particles and in between the layers of the clay particle and push out that adsorbed or that trapped water. And when you don't have that water around the clay particles, everything can get tighter and denser and harder.
Okay.
And so we've done lots of testing on roads, testing for CBR values or California bearing ratio, which tests for hardness, shear strength, and the bearing capacity or load bearing capacity. And we see a huge increase in load bearing capacity. What we'll typically see on roads, once it cures, it takes some time for it to cure because it's a natural process of it getting rid of that water. But we'll see them going from grading it a few times a week, sometimes down to a few times a year. So it's significant savings. That could be multiple savings.
What about the addition of gravel? Does it cut down on having to add gravel?
It can, yeah. We still put gravel on the road where we are just for traction, but yeah, typically we'll see a savings on gravel. They don't have to reapply that gravel nearly as often, so they'll use less gravel over the next years.
Which is, again, money saver.
Yeah, so payback, like we've had some customers say that the investment that they put into Con-Aid and incorporating it into their roads, the return on investment is as short as 18 months, just on the savings on maintenance on those roads.
And roads treated with Con-Aid are fully reworkable. You don't have to add more product, or you can rework the road and it never stops working because it's constantly working with the clay.
That's
correct?
right. Yeah, the change, what it does to the clay, that change it's irreversible and it's permanent. So, but it's still reworkable. It's still soil. We've gone back on roads that were treated 10 years, 15 years ago, ripped them and relayed them, because you still have to do some maintenance on those roads. Relay them down, repack them, and a lot of times they actually are even better the second time we rework it, because I think the Con-Aid's maybe getting into more of the clay particles, but we don't have to reapply unless we introduce new material. we don't have to reapply. So we can go back, rework and reshape and compact it again, and we have incredible results. In fact, just this morning, we were talking with a contractor who hauls gravel on one of the main roads, and they hauled right through the season just from one gravel pit. I think it was 450,000 tons in a year, and the road just stands up beautifully.
So we kind of covered everything with why clay is a blessing and why it's a curse, and how Con-Aid can fix your issues in your road. So somebody wants to know more or talk to us about Con-Aid, how do they get a hold of us?
Well, there's a few different ways, but probably the easiest is to go on to the website, Con-AidCanada.com. Reach out, email, phone, whatever works best for you. And we always like to go and have a look at people's roads and have a look at the actual road and see how we can help. But check out the website. Probably it'll be on comments below. Call, email.
Set up a time for us to meet with council.
Absolutely.
We'd be happy to do that, or come and get a soil sample. Everything.
And get you started going down the road for a permanent fix for your roads.
Sounds great. Thanks, Phil.